So my husband and I are trying to diet and lose some weight, because summer is usually the easiest time for us to lose weight because we can get out and exercise and stuff too. And we're trying to do low carb meals. So one of the things that I have started doing is ricing cauliflower and using it as a rice base in some of our meals. And I can usually get about 2 meals out of 1 head of cauliflower. So I thought I'd share what I do to rice cauliflower. A simple low carb meal option. Alright, so I have gotten it nice and steamy and cooked it for about 3 to 5 minutes, and what that does is it helps it avoid browning, and then also cuts down on any smell. Apparently the articles I read, it gets a sulfurish smell after a few days. So this helps prevent that. I usually freeze about half of it and keep the other half in the fridge because I know I'll use about half of it in a week's time, but the other half I'll save and use the next week. One of the best parts about this is it almost tastes like rice. We have to season it just a little bit extra so it doesn't taste like straight cauliflower, but other than that it's healthier than rice is, and it works pretty similarly in any recipe. That looked delectable. And that took half of my batch. Just cauliflower, eggs, and cheese. And seasonings, of course. We'll see how it tastes. Already going. Just heading to the store. Already coming off. That's one. Where are your shoes? 2 seconds after getting them on. You want to be part of it?
Hello.
Hello. Did you get your shoe off? So I figured, since you've probably noticed in the first couple videos that we have a somewhat unfinished kitchen, I thought I'd share with you why it's that way. So this kitchen, we back up history of this house. Our house was built in 1920, and because it was built in 1920, it wasn't the greatest setup. So as it was built in 1920, this was the living room. What we have is our living room now. This was a dining space, and that our girl's bedroom was the kitchen. It used to come all the way over to this wall. Then that was a back screened porch, and that was the real door out to the screen porch. Well, it was moved over a few feet. And then that was a bedroom still. This was still a bathroom. This was a den / bedroom and a porch. The previous owners, renters, whatever, it was a rental before we got it, and the last renters did a lot of renovations that totally destroyed some of the house and its character, and so the owner sold it. So they changed this into a bedroom. You notice there's still lines in the ceiling here that this was also turned into another bedroom, so they could have 3 bedrooms on the top floor. They turned the hallway that used to be here to connect these 3 rooms, was now part of the bathroom and a closet. The closet's really strangely done between the bathroom and the closet itself, so we're not even gonna go there. And then they opened this wall as much up as they could and turned the porch into part of a kitchen. Which means the plumbing that they did was okay. The electrical is all terrible because half of it's still knob and tube. And the way they had the kitchen set up was absolutely horrendous. And I'll show you some pictures here. Notice that here the counters wrapped under the windows instead, so you had a lot less upper cabinet space. The old closet that used to be here was the pantry, but the fridge was right in front of it, so it was really hard to access it well. There was very few upper cabinets. I think there were 3 total, and there was a really bad, poorly framed spot for a dishwasher, so we had a jury-rigged dishwasher in there. The framing under the windows, around the windows, was really uneven and really poorly done. And the window that used to be in this wall was really poorly framed. So we went in, we stripped this whole wall down and these 2 walls down, and we opened up this wall and that wall. That is now completely open instead of being closed off. So it's a lot more open space in here, a lot more light, just bleeds through everywhere. We re-sheetrocked this wall, which it looks 1,000 times better being even all the way across. And we are planning on doing shiplap barnwood stuff along these 2 walls and backsplash, carrying through backsplash. So we didn't sheetrock this wall. We were kind of low on sheetrock and being lazy and wanted a little more structure. So we put in OSB in order to nail the boards to. We reframed the front door. We didn't completely take it out, so that's why it's just kind of a solid piece of wood. We just did something to help create more strength there, instead of having the weak sauce framing that they did before, and it is a lot more solid now, as you can see by having straight wood across the whole thing. This is still original shiplap from the porch, and I begged to keep that because I wanted to have just a tiny piece of what this house was originally. And then this is a wall they put in where the doorway used to be going into the den. We added the bar here and the support bar coming down because we're going to shiplap over this, and then we're going to frame this with trim. We'll have a matching windowsill that's stained, just like the bar that we added in here. And we added an outlet here, which is awesome. We eventually will replace that. We have to get the wire and stuff for that. We need to trim all of this. We're going to add mini shelves in there for the cookbooks. We need to fill in the gaps here. We need to trim this. And baseboards everywhere. We do have the trim to go under the cabinets, we just have not done it yet. Baseboards everywhere. We're going to turn these into like display shelves things where it starts about counter height and then shelves. And we have quarter round and baseboards that have to go in the rest of these rooms. And I still have to seal off the wainscot that we put in like a year ago. So we still have lots to do. We started this project this last April when we got our tax return, because that was the money we were going to use to do a remodel. But guess what else happened in April? COVID-19 quarantines. So a lot of the stores started shutting down or having restricted hours, etc., etc., etc. I was an emotional wreck. So stressed out. Diane, get off the table. Eat your sandwich and get off the table. My goodness, my kids sometimes. She's still on the table. Get off, you crazy bug. Anyway, so it happened amidst COVID-19, and we had the money and we had the time then. We had set aside that month and a half, 2 months to work on this kitchen, and so we didn't stop. Thankfully, Lowe's and Home Depot were still open and we could still get the supplies that we needed. We were careful to social distance and wear masks where needed, etc. We had just a couple of people who could help us because of COVID, so we had a small handful of people like my dad, a friend from our church group, and a couple neighbors that would come and help us every once in a while. We demoed one week, we did a little more demo the next week. We found out all the issues going on in the walls, and oh kids, she's done with her lunch. I will finish this after I clean my kid up. Alright, so we've demoed the walls, found out all the issues with the framing and things. It was a very stressful few weeks. But we pressed forward, we reframed, drywalled, covered up. We got our cabinets in, which we had a couple that were misplaced. And so there's all the stress of trying to get those back and in time to actually install. So we got our cabinets in, which we had issues with the wall being uneven, etc., etc., etc. And then we finally got our appliances and had to finagle very tight spaces to make sure everything would fit properly. Seriously, there was a miracle that happened there. We needed like just 1/4 of an inch, and something we did made everything fit so that the oven doesn't hit the fridge when it opens and things like that. Anyway, it's a tighter space in real life than it was in my mind. We couldn't really get anyone to do countertops except for like 3 months out. And so we just put in OSB covered in contact paper, which actually functions fairly well. Like, it's at least functioning. It's not watertight, it's not cut proof, but it is functioning. So once it got functional, I burned out and my husband burned out, and we were just like, oh, and we had to do the floor. Let me tell you about the floor really quick. They put carpet in on top of the laminate that you could see in the kitchen. The whole upper floor used to be laminate, and then they put carpet on top of the laminate. I mean, nailed into it, glued on top of it, all kinds of terrible. One of the things I begged my husband to do with this remodel is let me redo the living room floors, because if we were going to redo the kitchen floor, I wanted the rest of the house to look good too. And I'm so glad we found the budget to do it, because
has made the hugest difference in just how the whole house feels so much more finished, so much nicer, it flows better, all of that stuff. Anyway, back to my story. I jump around a lot. I apologize. So we burned out, and it has been, I think we worked for a month and a half, 2 months on the remodel to get it functioning. I unpacked the kitchen and got it to be a kitchen. And then we haven't really done anything since. The first thing we need to get done is finally get some countertops in. Then we need to work on the barnwood that my friend donated to us. And we're going to gray wash it so that it has color but still has the grains showing through. But I have to sand and treat it first. And it's been the middle of the summer. The only times I can really work on it were late in the evening or early in the morning when my husband wasn't at work. And I just have not been very motivated to do that because I want to spend time with the family. So this fall, when it gets a little cooler, my plan is to actually punch those out, get those sanded, get them treated, and get them gray washed. So once we get our countertops in, we can get that in, and then we can trim. And that is a lot of work still to do. And I think once I get those barnwood planks done, then we'll just push forward for another few weeks and get the rest of the whole kitchen finished. That way by Christmas, Thanksgiving and Christmas, we can have a finished home. That is the goal. There are so many things in this house that we want to improve. We've been doing small projects along the way. Most of it is fixing what the renters did to ruin the setup of the house. And some of it has been like old style closets were not really functional. So like we opened up our bedroom closet, just the doorway of it, so we could actually use it. Things like that. There's our kitchen saga. We still have more to do, and we'll probably get to share a lot of that with you along the way in the next few months. I'll make sure I share videos about our progress. Hopefully we actually do get it done this year. That is the goal. Part of that comes to budget, part of it comes to time, but I don't have a lot of else going on this fall because my orchestras have all gone to small groups or string only this fall, and I don't have a lot of photography clients right now because I do newborn stuff and COVID. So that's our life, and we're sticking to it.